got the whole thing set up for CT to drop in. Hopefully he drops in. But for the meantime, I think I can drop that down a little. All right, people. I'll take a look on YouTube now that we're live. Oh, I hope I didn't miss that one. Let's see. All right, so there's this. I get this up. In my bar for cooking, early times 42 proof, the very bottom. I love the early times bottled in bond, which is spectacular. I've loved it all along. Let's see. I gotta check. I gotta make sure. I gotta check YouTube now. Here we're gonna monitor YouTube. Let's see. I don't know what to do here. What's going on? Let's go home. Jeff. There we go. Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Let's turn this up. All right, my microphone is working. Oh, if CT's coming on, I do have to start up this microphone. So let me quick start up the other microphone in case him or right, my microphone is working. Oh, if CT's coming on, I do have to start up this microphone. So let me quick start up the other microphone in case. Come on, what the heck? My microphone is working. There we go. All right. All right. We'll turn that down. As far as the secondary, we're live on. I'm going to welcome everybody on. All right, chat. Welcome everyone. That's on the chats. There we go. That's working. Hey, Greg. Let's see. I still wish I had a bottle of Benchmark circa 19. I wish you did too. Maybe that's where like a guy like Brad Bonds comes in, because he picks stuff up like that all the time. Let's just make sure. I gotta sit on. Let me get in here. I'm almost ready. I got everything set up. I'm hoping that I'm in this the right way. Yeah, that's it. It's like, there we go. I should be. I probably could move. Let's see. Should I? I'm just looking to see where that benchmark is too. Yeah, that benchmark's in the way. Let's see if it's still in there. There we go. We're on air. We are getting ready to go. I'm going to get this baby going because we've got a lot of talk about bottom shelf already. And I love the talk tonight about the bottom shelf. And we've got a lot of the bottom shelves here. And we're going to talk a little bit about what actually. Yeah, Randy, we do too. By the way, I dined at Amari tonight and gave them some love from that. Thank you. They're that Amore, everybody. If you're in Floyd's Knob, Indiana, the best restaurant in the area, and everybody from Louisville and Bardstown and in Indiana will tell you that what they got going there. My God, how am I? What Al Popsadero has going there as was an ex-corporate chef. I mean, his food is fantastic. It is all straight. Each plate is made separately. I mean, it's just fantastic. Greg Schneider turned us on to that, and every time we're in the area, we wanna dine there. There's no doubt about it. So, all right, let's get going with this tonight, everybody. Just know that our sponsors, the Spirit of French Lick, we are going next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, to pick up our barrel pick of Lily and Sinclair. The bottles are selling quick, so if anybody's interested, contact me, because once I pick it up, I'm going to head the following weekend after that to Wisconsin to drop it off. Uh, Josh Charleston, I'm going to set something up, and we're going to have a tasting, and I'll be bringing up a bunch for everybody in Wisconsin to try, and hopefully we get that. And then also I'm going to be stopping in Illinois. John Ritt, who's on tonight, going to hopefully see him. And then also there's Kenyon, Coco May. I want to see him too, so we might have a little tasting and see if you guys want that. If with your friends, I could bring a bottle, let everybody taste it, and see if anybody else wants it. It's kind of cool. Enya from Russia, hello, good to see you. We're in Russia tonight. Anytime we're broadcasting on YouTube and we're in Russia, that's a good thing. All right, so we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and we're going to get going. We already talked about Spirit of French Lick. Check it out. Great. www.spiritsofFrenchlick.com. The link is on my podcast, so just follow it there. Check out everything they got. Alan Bishop, who was the master distiller there, and everything that he distilled was absolutely fantastic. Going forward, we kind of don't know, but we're still on board, and they're still our sponsors, and we're still picking up a couple barrels. And get a hold of me if you're interested. And then also, just remember, Jason Giles is doing a really good thing with Rosewood Bourbon. If you want to try Rosewood Bourbon, it's bourbonoutfitters.com. They sell it. Bourbon. They make bourbons and rye and single barrels. Grab a bottle. He's absolutely does a fantastic job. He buys bourbon from Kentucky and Indiana. He basically it gets aged there. He buys it, and then he brings it back down to Kentucky to age at least one season in the hot heat, and then bottles it. Fantastic bourbon. So check that out, Rosewood Bourbons and Rye. And then also Alan Bishop, who is now the master distiller at Old Homestead. He has his own YouTube channel called One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. Check that out. Lots of good stuff on there. If you have questions about distilling, that channel has answers. And then also, if you have ghosts, you have everything. It's a spirits podcast on all podcast formats. You got to go check it out, because it's two kinds of spirits: the spirits industry and also spirits. And he basically interviews everybody from everywhere. All right. So I got that in. We're going to get going. You're going to have a 30-second spot with not where we're just hearing from our sponsors. And then you'll hear we'll go right into our podcast. Let me make sure everything's going. Yep. We'll go straight into the podcast. You'll hear our theme song by Kenny Fuller. Here we go. What the heck? I'm not ready. Here we go. Oh, that's been asleep at the wheel.
drinking bourbon, sipping on scotch. We get a little wild, it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. And we tell songs, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon boys. Raising hell, making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon boys. We're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun. Yeah.
Woo! Yeah! Welcome back to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Tiny here tonight. CT might join us. You might have Whiskey joining us a little later. They're out and about and are trying to jump in, but tonight's podcast is going to be a fun one. We already got Walker. We've got Greg Schneider commenting. We even have Roxy. Everybody likes what would you say? Everybody likes the bottom shelf bourbons. Everybody has their favorite one, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Just remember www.Scotchy Bourbon Boys for all your Scotchy Bourbon Boys marketing. You can have a cool t-shirt like the one I'm wearing tonight, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. And also we have Crystal and regular Glencairns for sale. Check that out. Not Crystal, but just regular, because to get into the Crystal Glencairn Club, you need to 100% join the Crystal Glencairn Club, and I've ordered some new ones, and supposedly they should be coming before we head off into the festival time. And we should have some new Glencairns, but you can get the Glencairns off the website. Just check it out or contact me direct, and I will ship you whatever you need, t-shirts or glasses. We take Venmo, so it's the easiest thing in the world. With that said, remember, we're on all the podcast formats: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. And then also we are on all the major podcast formats: iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Pandora. Check us out, whatever you listen to. But please, once again, I'm challenging you guys out there. Haven't gotten one. I need someone to go on Apple Podcasts, leave good feedback, give us 5-star rating. And the first person that does that, when I see it, contact me and tell me you did it on Facebook, and I will get you Glencairn. That's what I'm doing for the person who leaves me good feedback. I, for some reason, can't get you all to do that, but if you do that now, Greg, you've got one of the best reviews ever, so I'm not asking you to do it because you've done it already and greatly appreciated. I'm not worthy. Anyways, so Greg Schneider. So there's a lot of people talking. So let's also Distillers Talk podcast with Alan and our friend Christy Atkinson's. Hopefully, yeah, that's a great podcast too. That's for sure. But what I want to say is that let's just define bottom shelf tonight. So you've got the bottom shelf. The bottom shelf ain't the bottom shelf. Tonight when I went to go check out the bottom shelf, old granddad was on the bottom shelf. Not a bottom shelf bourbon, not a bottled in bond, nothing. It's all over $20. And, Jim Beam at $19.99 and Jack Daniels at $19.99 or $20, whatever. Those aren't bottom shelf bourbons. When I was growing up, Jim Beam and Jack Daniels were the top shelf at that same price. When you were buying a bottle of Jack or you bought a bottle of Jim Beam, you were buying the top shelf bourbons. This is before the 90s hit and everything, when we started getting all the small batches and you started getting into the E.H. Taylors and you started getting into, that all changed. Okay. But in my actual brain, I can never say that Jack Daniels at $20, or I've even seen it, or Jim Beam at $20 a bottle. They're not bottom shelves. Okay. is yeah, Roger. OFC, Old Fire Copper at, that's one of my favorite bottom shelves. Yes. But the bottom shelf is anything I want to say if it's under it's 17.99 and lower. I will say a couple 19.99s on the bottom shelf could be also qualified, but they would be the top of the line bottom shelfers. So when I went out, I already, one of the ultimate bottom shelfers is JTS Brown. That was on the bottom shelf. That was priced at 17.99, I believe. So that one was we're just getting into this a little bit. Now the benchmark here, this just straight benchmark number 8, it's bottom shelf. This was $12.99. Now I picked up this Old Crow, which I believe I think I need my I definitely need my glasses. I wanted to see Frankfurt Clearmont Old Crow Distillery 80 proof. Where is it? I want to say, what is this bottle? It's supposed to say how much it's 1 liter, and this was $11.99. This is 1 liter for $11.99. They had the 1.5 liter there too. So I mean, then Mellow Corn was on the bottom shelf, and that one was $19.99. But it was there, and I want to say then the benchmark, the whole benchmark thing, but single barrel, which I have here, which was on there, was $24.99. So I'm putting that off to the side. And I didn't have the bonded. The bonded was $19.99. But the top floor and the full proof, top floor $14.99 and the full proof was $16.99. So I'm telling you, these are all now. Ancient Age was $12.99. Okay. And honestly, at $12.99 for Ancient Age, there was a limit 1 per customer. So the Ancient Age at $12.99 was allocated. All right. If you use a Henry McKenna bourbon, never showed up on the quality bourbon radar. Was always spectacular in the late 1960s and 1980s. Price was low, but the quality was absolutely phenomenal. Unfortunately, I got to see more here. It's like he's writing long. Oh, where the heck? Where did I grabbed that the wrong way. I was using it upside down. I didn't get it as properly notary until it didn't get its proper notary till the past couple of years. Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because it was, I mean, what you're talking about bottom shelf from the 1980s opposed to bottom shelf now is a whole different game. I mean, when you're talking about the top shelf price in the 1980s and the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you were paying $18.99, $19.99 for a bottle of bourbon, that was a top shelf price. Jack Daniel's was straightforward, right in your face, and Jim Beam at face level. Those were top shelf bourbons. And then from going down, when I started this and looking into this in probably 2012, I started looking at the bourbon shelf for gifts for family, friends, and whatnot. Taylor, I knew what is it? Why am I having a problem? Basil Hayden, E.H. Taylor gave those away for gifts to people who liked whiskey and bourbon. And but when I walked in to the liquor store and I saw the scotches and the bourbons, and there were so many, and it was just so strange to me. I thought the selection was kind of like, it was like looking at Chinese. to me. Like, I didn't understand what I was looking at. I bought in the 90s. I bought in 1992. I bought a Jack Daniel's single barrel from my dad. Drank Jack Daniel's, so I bought the single barrel from Sam's Club in 92, 93. And I had a bottle of Jack Daniel's single barrel in my liquor cabinet for about 3-4 years, and I coveted it. Paid 32.99, 38 something, right around there in the 90s, and I thought I had an expensive bottle, but I had no idea what a single barrel is. I thought it was like a single malt. Didn't really know what was going on. But we're talking about bottom shelf today and what's good. Now, everybody knows, in my opinion, the bottom shelf has raised up in quality based off of good whiskey being made, and the heat and everything that's happening in Kentucky. When most of the time these whiskeys are cheap because they're not aged for a long time. For instance, Benchmark is, I believe, 2-3-year-old E.H. Taylor. I know that E.H. Taylor sits around 7 years old. You're just looking at a little bit younger versions of that, but that doesn't mean it's the whiskey going in the barrel and is quality whiskey. It's the same distillate that just takes its way through Taylor up through, I believe Taylor also is when you get Stag and George T. Stag and Stag, and those two, they're all in the same mash bill. It's just where they are in the warehouse and how things change and how they're different. So it's funny because our first ever podcast, if I'm not mistaken, one of the few ones, we said that, I want to say that we said that it was Benchmark was no, Ancient Age was Blanton's. I think that's what somehow we got just killed. It wasn't. It's not. It was just like, that was one of the most traumatic podcasts we ever did. But we also, making that mistake, it was our most popular at the time. It was so funny because it was traumatic. People were just yelling at us, but everybody was watching. I think they were all watching, laughing at us because we didn't know what we were talking about when it came to that. I learned after that podcast before I do anything, to really go about and do my research so that I don't make dumb statements. That one, I followed the advice of a friend who said that that's what it was, and I wasn't sure, so that was kind of interesting. So let me get back to comments. A lot of people on tonight. Ed, yeah, there we go. So Randy Ford. Yeah, Randy, when we were making $3 per hour and it was a different world. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's $3 an hour, but it wasn't quite as much as what the word is here. Just left you. Oh, thank you, John. I really appreciate that for the 5-star rating. Let's see. Randy said Cooper's Craft. I think Cooper's Craft is $12.50 out the door, but really, you got Cooper's Craft for $12.50 out the door? I don't remember. I remember it being a little bit more than that. Let's see. There was another one up here, Walker. Let's see. Back to the bottom shelf. Yeah, I mean, Henry McKenna is that gets it. I don't know. Do you want the bottom shelf good bourbons not to get their due? Because if they do, their price is just going to go up. I remember in 2019 buying Weller Red for $27.99, and then that price now is $49.99. I mean, it's just crazy because once people are onto something, the price goes up. So it's almost like we're always like, shh, 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 everybody be quiet. But so let's get into this a little bit for tasting wise. Was hoping CT would join us, but it doesn't look like he's going to be joining us. I love what's happening on Kentucky 10. Yes, that is one too, that sweet Chariot mentioned. Good to see. We got I've been getting into Brandy, that is good stuff. Well, Alfonso, you should definitely, if you're getting into brandy, yes, some if it's distilled right, especially I like pot stilled brandy, but if you're getting into that, you should really get into some bourbon or whiskey also. So the first one I'm going to do tonight is I'm just going to compare bottom shelf. I was thinking that I'd pull. There was one bottle over here. Let me see. I did want to. uh, Comparatively. So one of the things I wanted to do is that um, what I find sometimes that craft distilleries, um, you go around to all the different ones around, and although you might pay 60, 55, 59, $65 a bottle, the bottom shelf bourbons will hold up above and beyond the actual craft distillery bottle. And that's just not in most cases, just some cases. So that's the part um, that I wanted, that was out there. But I was thinking that I would just taste through these and see which one out of all. I know that I like ancient age. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to ancient age, he was getting rid of the 83 proof clear space. I gave him a grant for 4. Let's see, John Ray, when we were making for the 80s. Yep. Okay. So, anyways, so I was thinking I would start this out JTS Brown. Now, JTS Brown is I believe it was $17.99 bottom shelf. This one actually is bottled in bond. That's 100 proof and it's 4 years old. And you get it for, I mean, you're talking about one of the, now CT loves this. Now, one of the factors of a bottom shelfer is a plastic top, a screw top. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other screw tops out there, but this is just cheap plastic screw top in a bottle. Some of the bottom shelfers can be in plastic. Now, I am not a fan of even buying the small bottles in plastic. I just don't like bourbon. I want it in glass. So we'll take a little bit of this JTS Brown. Now, once again, this one, 100 proof, it's a bottled in bond. And I believe it's made, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, you can pick this up at Heaven Hill, right? Distilled and aged in Kentucky, bottled at the JTS Brown Sun Company, Bardstown, Kentucky. Yeah, I believe that is somewhat, this is the DSP Kentucky 1. So Heaven Hill Distillers, Heaven Hill makes this. So, yeah. Cheers to Heaven Hill producing some good on the shelf everyday whiskey. So nose, the one thing that I always find is what you do is, oh, this is 4 years old, 100 proof. I mean, it's fantastic whiskey. Like I said, CT loves this. CT actually put JTS Brown in a barrel that he had gotten, and he aged it further in his living room in a 53-gallon barrel. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, it is in the Heaven Hill on the right of their gift shop. But at the same time, Randy, I picked this up and saw it today. I didn't pick it up, but that one I picked up, I might have gotten it at Heaven Hill, but today I saw it on the shelf in a liter form for $18.99 at my local Giant Eagle when I went there, because I just wanted to see what the bottom shelf was, what the bottom shelf was. And the bottom shelf wasn't even fair. There was stuff on the bottom shelf that just was there because there's so much whiskey on the shelf these days as far as to choose from, that some of the better things like Old Granddad got kicked down there. JTS Brown's down there. I couldn't even get the H&H because it was sold out. I mean, what world do we live in that when you go to pick up a bottom shelf bourbon for $12.99, you can't get it even at a limit per one? That means it must be some damn good whiskey that people are drinking. So Greg says, unfortunately, marketing doesn't always correlate with the great tasting whiskey. Most have never heard of Mattingly and Moore bourbon in the late 70s and early 80s. It was truly bottom shelf with early times, Cabin Still, Yellowstone, etc. It keeps making me get and I always put it the wrong way. All right, here we go. In today's standard, all those will stand up against most high-end bourbon and whiskeys. Yes, and you got to agree. The thing about these particular bourbons, 114 is bottom shelf here in Chicagoland. No, old granddad is not at 114. It was $32.99. So once again, guys, we are we are making the actual bottom shelf based off of price, and it's got to be for instance, I picked up the Old Crow right here for I believe this was $11.99 for a liter bottom shelf. The JTS Brown was $18.99 for a liter. We're talking 750 milliliters. It's got to be below $17.99, $18.99. It can't, at $19.99, it qualifies you. It's not a bottom shelfer. You're getting into the Jim Beams, the Jack Daniels, and those are not bottom shelf whiskeys. They're everyday whiskeys that sell out their minds. But Randy Ford, I've gotten it at Evergreen and others. All right, Walker, John Rent, that's okay. They don't know what they are missing. What are we talking about right now, Walker? John Rent, oh granddad. Oh, granddad is good. I mean, I have 114. I picked that up, I believe, at old granddad 114 I picked up for $19.99 at Costco in Wisconsin. So that's still higher than, in my opinion, let's see, higher than, this is higher than, okay, how about that Old Tub? I agree, Old Tub, but Old Tub initially was $18.99, and it's one of my favorites. But I will say that right now it's $23.99, so I don't qualify it as bottom shelf. Evan Williams I have over here, but Evan Williams still will run you $19.99, so I put that with Jack Daniels and what you call it, Old Crow. Yes, that's proud. Thank you, Dave, that you're proud of your boy. Let's see. Is good juice. I agree. I love Old Tub. Do you drink and drive? No, I don't. If you listen to the podcast, you'll know that I advocate not drinking and driving and drinking responsibly. So there's some off of the right there off of YouTube. Tonight's wild. We've got it going on YouTube and we've got it going on Facebook, you guys. It's good, but it's Chicagoland. All right. Say that they don't know. Yep. Old Granddad. Okay. Yeah. Old Granddad 114 is one of my favorite. I drank the hell out of that particular bottle when I picked that up in Wisconsin. I believe I left that for my friends and they cashed the bottle. Yeah. Anyways, let's, the JTS Brown, tonight's podcast is phenomenal for online. I'm applauding everybody online. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's see what we got. Let's see what's going on with this JTS Brown. So this tastes like one of the things that it's more of a big bourbon. It tastes like what you smell in a rick house. There's not a lot of caramels. There's not a lot of complexity. This is just like, if you're a fan of what whiskey, bourbon whiskey would taste like, that's what this tastes like. It's a phenomenal Pour. All right, let's open up. Let's go to the Old Crow. Now, this Old Crow, I do believe Old Crow. I'm going to try and figure this out. The division of the Old Crow Distilling Company, Frankfurt, Clermont. Let's see. Whiskeys, drink smart. Okay. Old Crow bourbon was the finest to begin using this process. Today, the sour mash process has become the standard in the bourbon industry. I'm just looking. Aged for a full 3 years in new charred white oak barrels. www.theoldswhiskey.com. Drink smart. I can't. It's like you guys. Yeah, Walker. It's not a caramel. There is no. Randy, please don't shut up. That's what we're not supposed to be doing here. We're all supposed to be talking. It was top shelf many years ago. That was on YouTube by Thomas. J.W. Dant is a good cheap option too. But I do believe the Dant, you might be right. I have a bottle of J.W. Dant. I might have picked that up for $14.99. I'm not sure. Heaven Hill likes to keep that one on the low down, on the hoedown. They don't even push that at their distillery. That's a very interesting story. Old Crow. Let's see what we got. Now this one at 11, that has a, what would you say? It's a 3 year, so 36 month. Let me see. A lot of char. You can taste the corn. At 80 proof, it's very, very unique. Dan, MSRP 15. There you go. That's what I thought. $14.99. That's what I picked it up for. Does anybody know what Old Crow, James Crow, Old Crow, what distillery actually makes this? That would be good to know. Sometimes Walker is good for that. Jamie, anybody out there? I know also if Greg's watching still, but he might have gone on for the evening. Christian, salutes. We got a guy on from Argentina. Howdy, Christian. Good to have you here. Here we go. That's interesting. I'm going to say it tastes bottom shelf, but $11.99. I would put that in a mixer. It's more. It's more confectionery sugar, no brown sugar. That's what I thought, James. I thought it was Jim Beam. So it's 3-year-old, probably similar to 3-year-old Beam. Don't pick up a lot of the peanut, but it's there slightly. Actually, I pick up like it's like a 3-year-old Basil Hayden. It's smooth, but there's still a youngness to it. Put it that way. But that's going to do the trick. I mean, it's 80 proof, and if you're looking to have fun, that's the one. For a whiskey, this tastes like smoke. What's the best one? I've been searching for a whiskey that tastes like smoke. What's the best one? Joe and Matt. Smoke. As far as like a more of a char, I mean, Booker's. I mean, you're always going to pick up that barrel char off of Booker's. That's a good one. That's one I would recommend. But if you're talking about a really smoky one, I have to think about that. So we'll see. Merlarky Smokehouse. All right. Beam Suntory Global distills it now. There we go. I got Beam. Yeah. Thank you, Randy, John, James, and Walker. Y'all hit it. That's what I thought it was. But like I said, I don't like to, make statements that I don't know. All right, so Mellow Corn. This one's 20. It's a bottled in bond also. The reason was Ulysses S. Grant. Oh, that's good to know. Oh, Old Crow was Ulysses S. Grant's favorite brand. Story is that a gossip junior accused Grant of being a drunk. Abraham Lincoln, when questioned about the rumors, replied that he would like to know his favorite brand, and he sent it to the other generals because they needed to be drinking the same thing he was. Yes, I've heard that one before. Mellow Corn is another bottled in bond. It's a corn whiskey, but straight corn whiskey. But straight corn whiskey can be considered bourbon if it's aged in new barrels. So, and if it's bottled in bond, it has to be in an aged new barrel, same season, at least 100, or it has to be 100 proof, and at least 4 years old. I would suggest anybody who drinks bourbon, you got to have some Mellow Corn. I mean, for 100 proof and a 4-year corn, it is spectacular as far as taste. I like Mellow Corn. Ancient Age is smoky. Ancient Age to me has cotton candy on it. That's what it. That's I don't get a lot of smoke. Ancient Age 10 maybe. I don't know. There you go. But Jay, everybody has their own thing, and like I said, I can't buy Ancient Age. I went there to buy it. Limit one sold out. Whoever thought a $12.99 for a 750 milliliter bourbon is going to sell out with a limit one? It's like Buffalo Trace. No matter whatever they touch, they can't make enough. So, anyways, yeah. All right. So now we get into Benchmark. Now, so far, drinking those, I'm still going to go with Mellow Corn, but that's the most expensive. But if I had to go between regular, JTS Brown Old Crow, I'm going with the JTS Brown. But let's do the regular Benchmark. That's Benchmark 8. Now, this Benchmark 8, I have had this bottle for since 2019. So let's just see. Actually, there is, I believe, the 5th podcast this bottle is from. So I was looking it up. It's just called Benchmark. You can check it out, what we thought. But I'm just doing Benchmark right here. Slide that back in. Let's go. Okay, we're good on there. Only exception for BT bombs is Traveler. The only exceptions for a Buffalo Trace bombs is Traveler. What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Randy? I mean, are you saying only exception? I'm trying to follow. Are you saying Traveler is not good, or Traveler is good, or what? Because honestly, they made so much of it that it's out there, but they made probably 50 times more Traveler than they did Benchmark and Ancient Age. It's just insane. It isn't as good as the others for the price. Okay, so you think the Traveler whiskey, which is a blend of whiskey, you like the bourbons way better. Okay, I can see that. We did a whole podcast on that. I did Blind, and Traveler beat out E.H. Taylor, which blew my mind. In the Blind, the Blind was so telling. I thought I knew what I was talking about. I didn't. It was Buffalo Trace, it was E.H. Taylor, it was Traveler, and then I forget what the other one was. But there was one other one, which was obvious. Whatever that one, Trace, Taylor. There was 4 of them, and I thought I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't. All right, so the Benchmark regular Benchmark. It's very, very Wonder what that, after sitting in that bottle for a while, there is a nice sweetness to it. And it's very, 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 very smooth after being, 5 years in the with the bottle 6/8 gone. I like that better than that's pretty good. Let's see now. Let's go to the top shelf next and see comparatively. Top shelf is $16.99. My sweet girlfriend is listening in tonight. Guess I better watch my link. Greg. Greg, I wanted to know, Old Crow, was that a top shelf also? That was something I wanted to ask you because one of our guys said that it was a high end at one point. Like you said, Ulysses S. Grant was drinking it. So I mean, God. All right, you're in a in your Traveler podcast. We likened it to a hopped up Dr. Pepper. You're a Traveler podcast. We likened it to a hopped up Dr. Pepper. Okay. Like I said, I enjoy it. I there's nothing wrong with it. Harlan Wheatley put his name on it. I was impressed. It just was whiskey to me. It wasn't looking for it to be a bourbon or whatever. I go at things whether I like it or not. And then because of the controversy that it did show, that the part of Traveler that I didn't like was because everybody could get it and there was cases of it available so that it wasn't running out. And you, just like Ancient Age, I can't get it for the podcast. It's limit one per person. It's $12.99 and it's gone off the shelf. Travelers, you can walk in tonight and buy it, but that's because of how much they made, based off of then also having it be a celebrity, sponsored whiskey along with their celebrity master distiller. I mean, Harlan Wheatley does not have his name on anything through Buffalo Trace as far as a brand. But E.H. Taylor does, George T. Stagg, Blanton, Elmer T. Lee, all have their brand. But this was like Harlan's first go round for it. He's got Wheatley vodka, but does that really count at a bourbon distillery in Kentucky? I don't think so. Would you like an Ancient Age 10? I can bring one to BBF for you. I've had Ancient Age 10. It's just that it's not out on the shelf. I mean, you try and buy it and, but it's not high end. The reason why I'm doing this podcast is because this is the low end for everybody. And I always like to go over with everybody what's on the shelf for low end. When we've done it, we've tasted it on the podcast before. But with this benchmark top floor, now, let's see, Joe and Matt, benchmark top floor is a little smoky. So it's got some nice vanilla, a little bit of caramel, and it's got a nice char smoke flavor to it. Now that makes sense because it's top floor. This is aging. Let's see. It says McPhee Brothers. Is that what it is? McPhee Brothers benchmark? McAfee. Yes. What are you guys going to do? Yeah. Let's see. Walker. Yellowstone, etc. Old Crow was not in the late 1970s, 80s, similar to early times, Cabin Still, Yellowstone, etc. Never achieved a quality recognition. Okay. Um, that's good to know. Dare you combine all the drinks into one and down it? No. Ivan Ivan Romero's like, just mix them all together and down it. Bro, you need to stop being drunk. Yeah, okay. Not really drunk right now. Talking similar tasting. Tasting doesn't get you drunk too bad. Uh, but at the same time, no, we don't put them together. But some people do what they call uh what is it? I want to say it's not a millennium bottle. It's uh sen- oh, come on, Walker, you can help me out with that too. What kind of bottle is it? Where they mix them all together. You take the last pour of each bottle and you put them together and you call it thank you, Randy, an infinity bottle. So Thomas, let's see. It was back in the 1940s. All right. So Thomas says to Greg, he thinks that Old Crow in the 1940s was a more of a top shelf at the time. Yeah. And then the infinity bottle is when you finish, you get down to one last pour. You pour it into a bottle and you mix them all together to make it an infinity bottle that is different because it's based off of the whiskey that you like and that you finish. And every time you fill that bottle and start drinking it. Now, for me, even that becomes tiresome. Drinking something like that when I've got so much to choose from already. I don't like. I've never done an infinity bottle. And thank you, Greg and Walker and Randy, on that. You guys have been great support tonight. Oh yeah, ganja. Go ahead, man. It's legal here in Ohio now. Just as Tuesday, everybody can smoke it recreationally. How to interact? Yeah. So now we're getting some ridiculous comments. No, Everclear is designed to be just straight high end burned out alcohol off the still. The proof isn't going to go up. As you mix, you're going to be mixing 80s and 90s and 120s, and so you're going to get an average amount of proof when you do the infinity bottle. So that's kind of cool. So that's the benchmark top floor for 16.99. I could drink this all day. I'm picking up this time a little bit of caramel apple on it. So nice bottle there. And then the full proof, which I think that one was $14.99, and the full proof was $16.99. Now the full proof to me, the single barrel that I got of the benchmark was fantastic, but the full proof to me was benchmark was the ultimate bottle for me on the bottom. Now we'll say right now, JTS Brown is in the running, and I would say not Old Crow, not Mellow. I'd say right now it's JTS Brown. Let's see. We'll just do a little bit of foolproof and see if that. I gotta decide which one it is. Got the foolproof benchmark. All right. Like that. I just don't see where you can go wrong. Where can you get a foolproof bourbon? So this full proof is 125 proof, and it is highest quality. Let's just see if it is there. All right. I'm not getting age on this, but let's just see. Distilled, aged, and bottled by Buffalo Trace Distillery. Government warning. Yeah, you're not getting the little bit of an age statement. I mean, honestly, Buffalo Trace makes some fantastic distillate. Sazerac owns them, and they don't tell you their mash bills. They tell you the story of the mash bill, but they don't give you the details of the mash bill. They'll tell you if it's a wheat, high rye, what one, the numbers and whatever, but and what the grains are that are in each mash bill, but they won't tell you the percentages. And then as far as age goes, there's not a lot of Buffalo Trace products that has an age statement on it. So but they're whiskeys people want and desire because they're good. So this foolproof for this price I don't know where else you could get 125 proof uh, bourbon. Now, my wife likes the early times bottled in bond. She said that was what she enjoyed for the bottom shelf, but realistically, that's 22.99. It's a cheaper bottle. It's fantastic. It drinks like a $40-$50 bottle, and it is now made or bottled by Buffalo Trace, at least because I believe when they bought the brand from Brown and Foreman, they bought the stock too. So it's the same stuff going in. They're just going to go forward with it. Kind of cool. Let's see. What I can't really do that. I'll check that after. Greg, thank you for the link. Foolproof runs mid 20s to mid 30s around here. Oh, I just saw it at the store. I believe it was 16.99, 14.99, and 16.99 for the foolproof. I was like shocked. So where is that's Randy. All right. So I'm gonna have to say I gotta put the two side by side. I'm gonna see which one, if the JTS Brown and the foolproof can hold their own. Grab this tasting glass, a little tasting glass from Jim Beam. All right. Okay. So he says he believes that foolproof is a 3-year. All right. So the JTS Brown, Heaven Hill against the benchmark foolproof. Let's see which one they are. Ah, wow. So if you're a huge bourbon fan where you don't like it to be like a dessert bourbon, you want it to be a whiskey bourbon, you're going to go with the JTS Brown. But if you like, I just am amazed that you can pull in this foolproof bottle for the price you can, and it's on the bottom shelf. I don't, I think this is an exceptional bottle to pull from the bottom shelf right here. This foolproof. JTS Brown is also a good bottle. I wish Jim Beam would make a premium expression of Old Crow and bring it back to its former glory. That would be, yeah, that would be kind of cool if they did. Yeah, but okay. So what? So Jim Beam makes it, and they're making Frankfurt and Clermont, meaning they're making it at the Clermont plant. I don't believe, does Jim Beam actually have a distillery that's running in Frankfurt? That one I am not aware of. I know they have a lot of different. I know they have a lot of different. What would you say? I know they have a lot of different places that they make. They age the bourbon, but I'm not. I always they do have one in Frankfurt. I wish CT was here because is it? I know where the Old Crow distillery is by It's in between Glens Creek and I want to say, what is it? It's they do the, oh, come on, the Old Taylor Distillery, which is right now, for some reason, they make Restoration Rye. What's the name of the distillery? The old Taylor Distillery. Wasn't Glens Creek Distilling? Yeah, but that is in between. The Old Crow Distillery is in between Glens Creek and the, why am I, Castle and Key. Thank you. They aged one of the Hardin's Creek expressions there. That's kind of cool. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. I didn't see you put it up there. I remembered it. Tonight is not a good memory night for me. I believe so. It's going really well on YouTube and Facebook. So, all right. So, everybody, I would say if I had to pick between the two, I'm going with the full proof. I mean, it's 125 proof opposed to 100 proof. It's more caramely, bigger, bolder. I think if you come across full proof on the bottom shelf, no brainer. It's something to pick up, reasonable priced. You're getting way more quality with this benchmark full proof than you do on anything, most anything else on that bottom shelf. And then the JTS Brown comes in a close second. This is a fantastic Kevin Hill product for a really, really good price. So these two right here are strongly recommended. I would say the Old Crow and the Benchmark. I don't know. This is a good mixer. I don't know. It's $11.99, but I can think of a lot of other things I'd rather be drinking than this. But if you're on a budget and you want to have a decent bourbon, this is it. I mean, if you can't afford those expensive bottles, Old Crow will do the trick in your mixed drinks. Or if you want to pour, I don't know if I think of drinking this out by the fire, relaxing as a sipper, but I'm probably pretty good over rocks, and it'll do the trick. This is something unique that was on the bottom shelf. Straight corn whiskey. I do enjoy the taste of it. It might not be everybody's thing, but it is pretty good. Bottom shelf in our area. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. The whole benchmark, even the bonded and the single barrel today, were on the bottom shelf with the benchmark and the foolproof and the top shelf, or the top floor. All of them were on the bottom shelf. So they were, you could just say they were right there. But as far as the price goes, it was only the foolproof and like I said, the foolproof. It was $14.99 and $16.99. The foolproof was $16.99. $14.99 was top shelf. What's top shelf by you, Randy Ford? It's on the bottom shelf here in many stores, but we know it's not bottom shelf. It comes through hard. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bottom shelf, but it's on the bottom shelf, and the price is the price. So it's a bottom shelf deal. That's what I would call. But Randy, what is the price of the top shelf by you? Are you paying 18, 19? I'm just, every state's different. Sometimes it's more in other states because they can charge more because of the fact that it's being sought after. Here in the state of Ohio, they have to the liquor stores have to charge MSRP. In Illinois is the damn taxes. Well, the taxes here in Ohio are high, but they have to charge MSRP because though the liquor is owned by the state and it is it's kind of like a consignment shop that each liquor store consigns on to sell, and then they get a percentage of the sale. But the prices are controlled by the state. So what used to really suck for us is that our taxes were high and the prices were controlled. And let's just say a bottle of Jack Daniels here would be 19.99. In Wisconsin, it would be 16.99 for that same bottle. And it was a problem when I first moved here 20 years ago. Wasn't into. I would buy all my. I couldn't buy liquor. I'd have to go to a state store, and so I'd go back to Wisconsin and buy all my liquor because it was cheaper and it could be up to $2, $3, $5 less, and I could buy it at the grocery store. And then as we've evolved, and in the last 6, 7 years, since the current OHLQ team took over and became advocates of the consumer, all of a sudden, especially in the bourbon market, we're getting things way cheaper than anybody else because in states like Illinois, you've got the tax, but the liquor store owners can set the prices. It's theirs to sell. So competition. So a lot of times something here that has to sell for $69.99 or $59.99 because it's MSRP will be selling for 72, or 68 or whatever because it's sought after. For instance, Weller in Kentucky, there's no place of Weller Special Reserve is under, $80, $80, $90. Here in Ohio, it's $24.99 and it has to stay there. So anyways, yeah, Ann Dimmick, Jamie, is a friend of ours, and she has really, really, her and Canepa, when he was doing this, they kicked butt, and now she further is kicking butt. Some of the stuff that we get here in Ohio is out of this world. That last Buffalo Trace where they had the Millennium bottle, and then also the double Eagle double rare, or Eagle double rare, or whatever it was. The fact that was allowed and went throughout the whole state, and people who had the money who wanted to buy that. But then there was also the Blanton's Gold, and there was the other bottle, I believe. I wanted to say Elmer T. I mean, it was just crazy what was available through the lottery. So that was at each place. Double Eagle, very rare. Thank you, Randy. So 16 to 20. All right. So with that said, we got Rusty and everything. If anybody has any questions, and you guys all threw out what you liked, but I mean, honestly, the bottom shelf is, I felt has really, really, with the aging process that's been happening in Kentucky, even the stuff that's 2, 3 years old is getting these hot summers and these cold winters. The whiskey is responding really well to the wood, and it is picking up a lot of flavors. The quality of the distilling at all these distilleries, it is computerized, and it's like they've all upgraded and built new distilleries, and they have a control over. When you go to Bardstown Bourbon Company, you see the computer, you see the control, you can control it. If you're not getting the yield you want off your fermentation, you can ferment a little bit lower or higher degrees. Everything is controlled. The fermenting tanks temperatures are controlled. the temperature of the cook is completely controlled. You can adjust that if you're just to be able to get more yield from or flavor from each batch that you make. And the everybody says automated is like kind of, it's not the same as if the way you used to when you used to turn pressure valves and everything like that, and it's not. But it's one thing to give that to somebody and they can then make good whiskey, but if you give those controls to somebody who understands how to make good whiskey and what they want to do artistically to make the good whiskey, they now have full control. It's kind of like giving them, instead of making them draw with a pencil, now you're giving them the full color gamut, and any color they want to mix up, you punch into the computer and the color is mixed up and they shake your can like they do at the hardware store. So, I mean, what you can do, how much whiskey you can make, how you can batch it up, it's all computerized. It's pretty damn impressive. With Don is Todd this month. And you're doing a tasting coming up in a couple weeks at New Riff with Jay and come on. I would at Brian, Jay and Brian. So that should be fun. Whiskey, NASA, laughing out loud. All right, I'm gonna be to do with some Garrison Brothers. So what is bottom shelf? It's price, and you're talking about low price bourbons and whiskeys that they don't. It doesn't cost much. They're not aged long, so they can put it out there at a lower price for people who don't have a lot of money. But that doesn't mean they're drinking crappy whiskey. Nothing I tasted tonight I wanted to spit out. So with that said, cheers everybody. Remember, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Frank Aaron says Rittenhouse Rye bottled in bond is a bottom shelf too, but that is a rye. So I'm not a big fan of ryes, especially when it comes to bottom shelf ryes. So we probably won't see a bottom shelf rye podcast. Otherwise, I'll end up spitting out a lot of whiskey, and I really don't like to spit out a lot of whiskey on a podcast. But remember, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Glen Cairns t-shirts like I'm wearing tonight. Glen Cairns like I'm drinking out of tonight. That's all available. Otherwise, contact me directly. We'll work something out. I take Venmo. Also, remember to follow us on all the major podcast formats. And John, if you left me a 5-star rating and you did a review, I owe you a Scotchy Bourbon Boys Glencairn when I drive through in a couple weeks. And remember, we are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We've been live on YouTube, Facebook tonight, and X. And remember to follow us on all the major podcast formats: Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, Alexa, Amazon. We're on it. If you're listening, just check us out. Ask Siri to play the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and it will pop up on whatever you're listening to. And remember, everybody, good bourbon equals good friends and good times. Make sure you drink responsibly and don't drink and drive. And remember, go out and live your life adventurously. I'm out of here, everybody, and little Steve-O's going to take us out.
Oh, show me the way to the west, to the dark whiskey bar. Don't ask home, don't ask why. Home, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die.
All right. I am off. There we go. We stopped recording. I stopped the music, but I didn't. Let me quick get this. Enter full. No, let's go. We're in here. File. Publish to uploading. Bottom shelf. Can't do that. I was supposed to do audio magic. Today has been an off day for me, honestly. It's kind of bizarre. Really, really kind of, there's not a lot of days that I've had like this. It's one of those days where you question everything, including your existence shelf. All right, saving it. All right, so we got that going. Yeah, I'm on. Hey, Randy. We still I love you guys too, man. It's just been one of those days where everything was, like I said, how you question your whole existence here. I'm okay. So I've been dying to drink the single barrel because this is the one right here. This single barrel, which is better than a Taylor single barrel the one bad one. No, you exist and you have friends. Yes, there's no doubt. But at one point, like it just everything felt so today. It was just one of those days. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to deal with the shit that I deal with at work. I didn't want to deal with the problems that arise. I didn't want to deal with the people. I was irritated at all the world, what was happening in the world. That was kind of bothering me too. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like it was one of those days where it doesn't happen. It like happens to me once every five years where negativity. I'm feeling good physically and everything, but I didn't feel good mentally. 2 days at a store opening. I got a Heaven Hill 18, 3 hour slip in. So hang in there. I have those days. Yeah, I mean, there's days I do that where it's a lot of, but it's just like I just wasn't tolerating it. I mean, honestly, I just felt like saying F it and go home from work. But that's not who I am. I'm not going to do that. I'm there. I have responsibilities. People count on me. I didn't blow up. I wasn't overly angry. I've had those days, but usually when I let off steam like that, might not be a successful day, but it wasn't a day like this. And then came home, the grandkids were here, felt a little bit better, went out, got, kept myself occupied, but still, you just find yourself just questioning what's it all for. So, where do I work? The podcast is what I want to do eventually full time. I'm celebrating my 60th birthday on September 21st this year. So it's the big 6-0. And then it's been sunny. It's been hot, sunny every single day. Not overly hot, but still hot enough. It's summer. But the weather had nothing to do with it. It was just my overall morale waking up. I fight all the time trying to lose weight. I'm always watching what I eat. But today I was just like pissed off at it. Oh, and sometimes you eat some good food and it satisfies you. There was no satisfying in the food either. It was just one of those days. Now, I would say tonight, your birthday is a day before mine. Oh, cool, Jamie. But I will. So you're going to be 62. Oh yeah, Yeah, it's just too many. But this one was a rough one, but I got through it, worked the whole day, came on, did this, and enjoyed this very, very much. Okay, so Walker, you just said cheers to Christy. Did it just say Christy joined us on the thing? Because, okay, 49, excellent. But I will say that tonight's podcast was kind of fun. I did enough research. I'm glad I went and tried to. I would have bought an ancient age too, which from what I remember when I tried ancient age, it's decent. That is decent too. This was a very fun cast. I had a lot of fun too. I was having a lot of fun. It was very good on YouTube. I think when we go off of YouTube, we're gonna have one of the record ones again because the people that were watching on YouTube, we got record number of likes, a lot of people commenting. It's Shackleford. Oh, what is it? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think overall it was a great podcast, and you guys were jumping in. This podcast was more interactive with the community, and I think that's what I'm getting at is that's what I wanted. As what I was hoping for. I was happy that everybody showed up. The regular people, Bill, and then John, you jumped in. You got Walker and Jamie, and it just Greg's was there too. Just much appreciated, guys. It was a pick me up for me. So I'm going to finish this last little pour of the single barrel. I would say with the foolproof, that foolproof right there. It's pretty much like drinking Taylor. E.H. Taylor's 4 years old. No, it's 7. It's that's what they say. It's usually about 7. It is E.H. Taylor is barrel. It's not as 100 proof, bottled in bond, except for their barrel proof. It's bonded and everything, but they don't put it out at 100. They put it out at barrel proof. Thanks. I appreciate that. I try. Lack of sleep and food. That'll do it. But did you get Seven Hill 18? Because that's supposedly a really good bottle. And where did you get you? So you waited. So Randy, you live in Illinois too? I would have loved to, John. I would love to try that, but I have not because I have not been in Kentucky since they've been releasing that. I'm going to be going down to Kentucky, Cincinnati area next Friday, not this, a week from tomorrow. We're going to be podcasting at New Riff on Friday. Saturday, we're picking up our barrel pick. Going to go over to Beck's Mill, then go over to Old Homestead and stay the night there. And then I'm trying to get to Heaven's Door on Sunday. We'll see. Leaving that open for a lot of stuff. So anyways, I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I might try and do something. I'm going to contact a couple people, see if we can do something wide open this weekend. That's for sure. Cannot get the weeded one, but I have the rye and the bourbon one. Both good, but rye is very good. This is going to be, we should just on my trip up, we should just plan, maybe someplace with your friends or whatever for a couple hours. That would be great. And then I'll head up to Wisconsin or on my way back, either or. It doesn't matter. That should be fun. And I'd like to have Kenyon too. Randy, you're in Gainesville, Florida. Weeded is great. That's crazy because how far away is that from Boynton Beach or like that area down south? Because I go to Florida to visit my mom and dad all the time, driving through the state down from Ohio. Anyways, all right, let's end this 5 to 6 hours. Okay. But maybe on the way down, who knows? I don't know. All right, I'm going to end this first on YouTube. Thank you everybody for watching on YouTube tonight. All right, here we go.